And thank y'all very much for joining us on our first day celebration. It's very exciting. I left the house this morning a little after 6. I saw all these school buses on the road. I was very excited. I've been to many schools this morning already. I got here. There's a lot of excitement here with Mr. Balaji, who is the first-year principal here at Pinehurst. He has almost 700 students. And as I saw them in the hallway, they look very excited and eager. Would you say that's the case, Mr. Balaji?
Yes, sir.
And I have 5 children myself, and I fondly remember when they had their first day of schools each year and how excited they were, how excited I was for that first day, how all the smiles that they had, the new friends that they were meeting, new teachers that they were meeting, and their hope that they had for the school year. And as superintendent of Charleston County School District, I also have that same type of hope for our students. For the last 7.5 months, I've been working with the school board, with senior staff, with principals, with teachers, to refine this vision of reading by all students reading on grade level by grade 5 by the year 2027. And over the next few weeks, we will continue to work with the board as the board goes out into the community to talk about this vision of reading. Now, I've been asked a number of times, why am I so focused on reading? And the answer is pretty simple. It's fundamental. Reading is fundamental. If a child leaves the 5th grade and goes into middle school reading on grade level, then the chances of success in the middle school is going to be enhanced. The same thing with that child going into high school. In addition to the reading goal, we will add 2 other goals, a goal for 8th grade advanced math, because that is a predictor of success in high school for our middle school kids moving into high school. And we'll also add a goal for college and career readiness. Currently, only about 67% of our graduates are college and career ready. Now, this past June, I attended all 11 of our traditional high school graduation ceremonies. And as I stood on the stage at each graduation and shook hands, I always ask the question, in this group of students that are graduating and moving into adulthood, are they ready? And in many cases, the answer is yes, or was yes. But in too many cases, the answer was no. So we have this focus on high school also. And if we get this right, all of our students will be able to be very successful, not only in school, but in life in general. They'll be able to go into college, they'll be able to go into the military, they'll be able to go into these high-paying jobs. And if for generations to come for their families, they will benefit greatly. 2 evenings ago, I did a Facebook Live with a group of family members and community members from the Hispanic community. And I talked to them about the importance of establishing a partnership with their community, with the superintendent and the school district to make sure that we have strong ways to be able to work together. I encourage them to make sure that they understand they need to work with their students. They need to ask questions of the schools. They need to ask questions of me, and I will continue that work with them. Last night, I participated in a Zoom meeting with the Accoby Neighborhood Association. So a similar thing that I did 2 nights ago with the African American community, encouraging their participation. And the reason why I'm meeting with these groups is because if you take a look at the percentages, 75% of our Hispanic students currently read below grade level. Here in this school in Pinehurst, with almost 700 students, 80% as of today are English language learners. And so it's a big challenge that we have to partner together to resolve. And with the African American community, African American students, 82% read below grade level. So it's important that we change that. And it is only through the systemic change that we'll do in the district and forming this partnership with the communities who are impacted that we'll be able to improve outcomes for all of our students. And so for the parents and the communities, I really need your help, and therefore I encourage you to get involved. Together we can, and we must make a difference. So thank y'all very much for joining us here today as we usher in this new school year. The time for change is now. So I'll take questions that you may have starting over here.
Yes, sir. Before we start with Channel 2, Superintendent.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to ask you about some issues with buses and parents at Bell Hall Elementary School had today. They say that buses never arrived to pick students up, and they say they were told it's because of a driver shortage. Is there a driver shortage in this district for bus drivers, sir?
So I'm going to get to that question in a second. But I made a mistake because I'm going to have someone answer that question for you, but I need to introduce my staff. So on the right here is Mr. Dennis Muhammad. He's the Director of the Family and Community Engagement. Dr. Anthony Dixon, who is the Chief of Schools. Ms. Anita Huggins, who is the Deputy Superintendent. Mr. Jeff Rory, who is the Chief Operating Officer. He will answer your question in a minute on the budget. Ms. Shauna Williams, who is the Chief Financial Officer. Mr. Bill Brigman, who is the Chief HR Officer. And Ms. Mercedes Pinckney Reese, who is the General Counsel. And Ms. Michelle Simmons, who is the Chief Academic Officer. And of course, we already introduced the principal, Mr. Balaji. And then Ms. Selena Anthony, who is the Director of Title I Bilingual Coordinator. All right, so Jeff.
So, to answer your question, sir.
Would you come forward, Jeff, please? Thank you.
So, until I know exactly what happened, I won't speculate on exactly what happened at Bell Hall, because we can have traffic issues, we can have mechanical issues, we can have driver issues. Up until a week ago, we were 100% staffed with bus drivers. We are short, small number as of right now. Again, I don't know if that had anything to do with this incident. The first week, just like the students are coming to school for the first time, our bus drivers are taking on routes in many cases brand new. So we want to make sure we take a look at exactly what happened at Bell Hall, and we'll get it straightened out.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Mr. Kennedy, first of all, congratulations on starting off the new year. Lots of programs and projects in the works. One of the things we haven't talked about just yet is the award for teacher excellence from Meeting Street Schools. Can you talk a little bit about what your conversations have been with that award announcement, and can you just respond to critics who might call this merit-based pay?
So here's what I would say about that. On July 31st, which was the Sunday morning, I attended over at downtown Charleston Place a award celebration for the Meeting Street folks who were doing the scholarships. And I saw all of these parents, all these students that are graduating, that are getting $10,000 per year for college that otherwise they may not be able to afford to get to attend college. And so when on the specific one that you're talking about, the Teacher Excellence Award, we have several things that we're working on with teacher incentive pay, and that is only one. We have two that's internal. And so what I'm looking at are opportunities to reward our teachers to make sure that we have more students in our county that can qualify for the scholarship awards.
And what is your number one goal this year, it is your first year as superintendent?
So I want people to understand that my number one goal in my role here, and however long that tenure is to make sure that we put the structures in place to put the district on a path that we have all students able to read. Again, reading is fundamental, and if we don't get that done, then we're not going to have success with our students and our families here in Charleston County. So my number one goal is just that, reading.
Hi, Mr. Kennedy. I'm wondering if you have any response to the letter the Attorney General sent in regard to claims that the board was having some troubles.
Yeah, so we received in my office the letter yesterday. I immediately assigned a couple staff members to read it, make sure that we respond, and I think we have 30 days to respond, and we certainly will comply.
Yes.
I want to say thank you, Mr. Kennedy, for being the person that spoke 2 nights ago to the Hispanic community. Be the first superintendent that did that. What do you think the impact that we can create, we as a people, as community, as parents, as leaders, to help the cause? Because already the ground is being laid down, right, for us. What can we do to make it better and stronger?
So as I indicated in my opening remarks, I have 5 children. I've lived in a lot of places, interacted with a lot of people from a lot of different cultures. And one thing that I've learned from that is that all parents, regardless of their cultural background, want the same for their children. They want great outcomes for their children. And so initially in my work on this, in that area, the only thing I asked initially is to work with me, form the partnership that I talked about 2 nights ago, and then we will jointly then determine, we in your community will jointly determine what are the best steps forward through that partnership.
Sir, what's the reason you did not comply with FOIA for these meeting agendas?
So again, I received a letter yesterday. I mean, you're saying I didn't comply. Comply.
That's what they're saying. You ain't complied.
So what we will do, we will respond to the Attorney General's request within the time limit that he has given us.
Mr. Kennedy, just to kind of circle back here, you mentioned that there are 2 other incentive programs behind the scenes. Can you confirm whether or not all teachers have an opportunity to earn a bit of a bonus based on I guess test scores or something, their work more or less?
So within the teacher incentive programs that I'm talking about, they're right now only for the acceleration schools, and so all teachers in those acceleration schools will have an opportunity. Not all teachers in acceleration schools for the Meeting Street piece, only 7 schools there. And then in addition to teachers, there's a component of one of the programs where everybody in the school, not just teachers, 100% of the staff will have an opportunity, if there's growth, student growth, to participate in the financial rewards.
Can you talk a little bit about your college readiness goal and how you plan to achieve it?
So I mentioned also in my opening remarks that over the next few weeks that I and the staff will be working with the board as they go out into the community and really solidify these goals. So I proposed Monday of last week at the school board meeting those 3 goals, and so the next steps then is get buy-in from the community through the school board, and then once we have that, we have a timeline that's been in place to actually develop those goals and get to the indicators that you're talking about. So we're not at that point yet, and so we'll have that sometime late fall, early winter.
As part of your reading goal, I know that a few years ago the district used to have a literacy coach program. I'm wondering what that looks like now, whether there are literacy coaches in every grade, and sort of how you're going to get to that goal.
Yeah, so we do have literacy coaches, and we have a number of literacy specialists in the central office, and we're looking at how we better deploy them out to the schools. But so yes, we have coaches, we have specialists, we have a new reading curriculum that was piloted last year that's given real promise, and we're expanding that to, I think it's 38, 40 schools, 35 schools for this school year. And so we would definitely be using coaches and specialists as we provide professional development for our teachers in that curriculum.
Sir, sincerely, we're going to work very hard to do this partnership, right? Between the district, the schools, the community, and I believe that, many steps is going to follow. I was glad to hear that you said, if you hear anything, call me personally. Why you did that? Why you put yourself in a position that we can call you directly? This is big for us, and at grassroots level.
It's based on some of my experience. When I was with the Bridgeport School District in Bridgeport, Connecticut, I was tightly linked to both the African American community and the Hispanic community in building a new school. They're advocating for a new school, so I work with them on a daily basis, and so I have experience in that, and from that experience indicated to me, at least for me, that was the most effective way to engage on a personal level.
Superintendent, you talk a lot about the goals for students this year. What about teachers? What are your goals for the teachers in the district this year?
Well, we want to make sure that in our reading goal, we have 3 pillars. And that second pillar talks about talent development. And so one of the things that we're definitely focused on in improving how we train teachers, especially around reading. As you know, as I assume you know, that we gave a $2,000 raise of teachers last year. Bill Brigman, our HR person, is looking at how we can continue to support teachers and from a financial standpoint. So that's a big issue here in Charleston County for teachers. And so we will be paying attention to that.
Any questions?
Thanks, Dave. Thank you.
I know one of your goals last year, or the board's goals, was to hire more minority teachers, and you hired a number of teachers over the summer. Were you able to hire more minority teachers?
So I'm going to ask Bill Brigman to come up in a second and address some of our recruitment efforts. But when I was running leading the cultural competency work of the district a couple of years ago, coming out of that committee, that group, was the recommendation of several programs, a couple of programs that we would implement, try to implement for to recruit more minority teachers, and we are having success with that. I'll ask Bill to come up and talk about that.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. So I don't have data right now as to what teachers would last year compared to this year. We do have a number of initiatives in place. Some are new to specifically address our needs. One that I'll really highlight is our Men of Charleston Teach, which is a very specific recruitment program for alternative route certification. We have 12 male teachers right now in cohorts of 5 in 4 of our schools. That number doesn't quite add up. The goal was to have 20. We're still recruiting in that area, but that's one of the highlights. Our goal is to have 60 male teachers of color in our elementary schools within the next 3 years. We also are one of the only districts in the state that has our own alternative route certification program. Programs that are alternative route definitely allow us to have more diversity among our teaching staff. It's called Teach Charleston. We're very proud of it. There are 83 teachers in that program as of now, and we're continuing to grow it and add certification areas.
Thanks, Bill.
Mr. Kennedy, there's a lot of new faces behind you. I'm kind of wondering how that meshing is going. What are some challenges? What are some high points of, your new administration?
Yeah, well, let me just talk about one of the high points. It happened this past, what's the day? It must have been Tuesday. When was the last time we had our cabinet meeting, which we meet once a week? And the level of discussion and engagement around student outcomes was phenomenal. And the school board has taken on this change of how the governance structure switches from how we do school governance now to student outcome governance. It's transforming how I think about, how my staff think about how we do our daily work. And so the highlight this week was the last meeting I had when that was evident in that meeting.
Last question, sir. Well, we cannot say thank you enough. I know how to make a question. But for us in the grassroots, I keep saying the same thing. The communication between you and the community and the base is going to be important in order to know the truth, what is happening in the community. We know that you think if your mind is grassroots, we know that already the level. But definitely we ask to have more accessibility to anybody that we need to talk to, and that's just a request. When it comes to a question, I would ask, what else? What else the future can hold for the community as a whole, in your mind?
Well, in my mind, if we are able to get these goals right, reading, math, college and career readiness, when I look out into the future, and by the way, let's be clear on what my future date is, when I look out, it's 2035, that this system will be completely transformed, and all of our kids are graduating, ready for the world, ready to take on all the cultural challenges that they have to go through when they leave our high school. So I think it's doable. I'm excited about it. I'm very optimistic. I've always been an optimistic person, and so my optimism working with your group is high. Thank you.